Colossians chapter 3, and we want to pick up where we left off last week. And this is anthropology. This is the way Paul views the human being. It's the way the New Testament views the human being. And that's why Paul begins by saying, look, this is all true. There's a hole at the heart of our, in our heart, but we're raised with Christ. We're seated with Him. When He comes again, we'll be with Him in glory. How do you reconcile these two things? This picture of who we are, this celestial strength that comes from us, from God, and the fact that we're standing in mud, knee-deep in our own sin. How do you see that? Well, Paul says, number one, that's why his terms are so stark. Put to death. Therefore, rid yourself, he says. Secondly, and third is our subject to today. For today, do not lie to each other. Do not lie to each other. In other words, tell the truth. He's got don't do this, don't do that, and finally, don't do this. Don't lie to each other means make a fearless, unwavering commitment to tell the truth in any and every circumstance in your life. There will come times in your life where it's inconvenient, where it's painful, where perhaps even the relationship that you're in might be damaged or hurt because of it, but you tell the truth. Now, let me give you a picture of what the New Testament understands this to be like. Jesus says of Himself, I am the way, the truth, and the life. There is a banner headline throughout the whole New Testament that we know who the truth is. The truth is Jesus. Another part in the Gospel of John, He says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. No more guessing, no more wondering whether something is true or there's a kind of truth to be relied on. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. When Paul talks about the Christian, he talks about a man who puts on his armor, the helmet of salvation, the gospel shoes, and he talks about a sword of the Spirit, and he binds them all together, ties them together with a belt of truth. You gird your loins, you pull everything together in your life with a commitment to truth. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, in the New Testament, you have the senior signature political official, Pilate, who actively out loud wonders, what is truth? He doesn't know what the truth is. He's lost. He's clueless. He stands before Jesus and he asks the question, the amazing, insightful question that the world is constantly asking, what is truth? There is in the New Testament Jesus who says, I am the truth. There is in the New Testament Jesus who said, the truth will set you free. There is in the Scriptures the belt of truth which binds it all together. And then there's the way of the world that says, well, what is truth? Truth is relative. Truth is something that you may, what's true for you may not be true over here. And the New Testament gives us a picture of this, and Paul says, look, don't lie to each other. Do not lie to each other. Why would he say this? He says it because there is in the church and in the closeness of human relationships, there's always a tendency to lie, to spin, to shade things. Because we like each other, because we love each other, because there is this commitment to the highest ideals of the faith in a church, the highest ideals of a marriage. Two shall become one. And if you make the commitment not to lie to each other, you have to cross boundaries. You have to get into a position where you may hurt another person's feelings. You may damage a relationship. We were at a party last night, and I sat across from some members of our church who only a few months before their daughter's wedding discovered some things about her fiancé that the daughter didn't know, and knew that it would be a mistake for this marriage to go forward. And with love, but a commitment to the truth, they sat the daughter down, sat the future son-in-law down, sat the parents of the son and future son-in-law down, and laid it all out. And the truth emerged. There was such, as they've told me the story, such hurt in their family. These relationships were on a knife edge. They were very, very tenuous. The wedding was called off. The parents stood their ground and said, as long as there's not a commitment to being the truth, to walking in the light, to admitting the truth, to understanding the truth, to not lying about things, we cannot go forward. We cannot support it. We're not going to go along to get along. We cannot support it. Now it's months later. All the pain is past. The couple did not marry. I asked about the state of the relationship between parents and daughter, and they said it's best ever, because the daughter finally came to an understanding. She was blinded by love, blinded by the way this fellow was presenting himself. She couldn't see. And the parents had a commitment to tell the truth and to not lie to each other. This is one of those things where we just have to drill it down in our heart. If we're going to live according to the truth, we have to commit to each other as if there is no purpose of lying. This was one of those moments in the New Testament you kind of scratch your head about. I think it's Acts chapter 5 when the early church, within months of the Holy Spirit coming, had to face this issue about lying, about people not telling the truth. Within months. They had a collection, and people brought gifts that they had. They shared all the things that they had in common. And there was one couple, Ananias and Sapphira, that owned a piece of property, and they sold it, and they made the promise to give 100% of the proceeds to the church, to this young church. And so Ananias comes and he lays his substantial offering before the church. But the apostles know that it is a percentage of the final sales price, not the full. And they had promised the full. And they confront Ananias, and he is so overwhelmed with this confrontation that he has a heart attack and dies, and he's carried out. And they call his wife Sapphira. And they said, tell us what's going on. And she says, well, we told you we would sell the property and give you everything, and we sold the property, and here's everything. And they said to her, Sapphira, your husband was just in here saying the same thing. And the men who carried out his dead body, you can see their feet right under those curtains. And she falls over dead. This is not a story you tell at the Capitol campaign at Christ Church. You don't use it that way. You don't use it to say, hey, at the end of the year, hey, you promised X, here's why. But what we do understand is the church made a drastic, unbelievable commitment to tell the truth, to live by the truth, to uphold the truth. Even when it was inconvenient, even when it was hard, even when it was sacrificial, and the church continued that, and when people stood against it, they were struck down. Now, I want to tell you from a personal point of view, this has not been an easy road for me to live according to the truth, at least before I met Fran. I mean, in all candor, I was raised in a family with an alcoholic. And when there's an alcoholic in your family, the children learn how to negotiate that. You learn how to lie, how to cope, how to tell whatever story you need to do to get out of the way of the person who is an alcoholic in your family. And you get very adept at spinning and coping and shading the truth and saying one thing but actually misrepresent it. You get very adept at that. And I was fairly good.
We thank you for joining us online. The ministries of Christ Church Plano are made possible by generous contributions from our members and viewers. If you have found this sermon meaningful and would like to make a gift of support, please visit christchurchplano.org/give. Thank you.